Okay, joining us now is David Thornburgh with the Committee of 70, nonpartisan committee led by business and civic leaders. Thank you for being here, David.
It's my pleasure.
So before the election, we knew the world would be watching Pennsylvania. It's a battleground state. And watching as these ballots are being counted, especially the mail-in ballots, give us a sense of how you believe that's going.
Well, it was a monumental challenge. It was we've got 10 times more of these than we've ever had in the history of the Commonwealth. All things considered, I think this went pretty well, not only in Philadelphia, but in the surrounding counties and the rest of Pennsylvania. And, it's worth remembering, for all the drama of the last few years, if we've been able to count these ballots, starting on Election Day and preparing for them before Election Day, this would have been all over by now. We could have called this election, Tuesday or early Wednesday. So the fact that we're still in the midst of this now is the fact that, unfortunately, the legislature and the governor couldn't agree on that critical step. But all things being considered, I think things have gone pretty well.
And just for people who are out there watching, as a reminder, the reason we have this volume of mail-in ballots was because people were concerned that they didn't want to go to the polls because we're in the middle of a pandemic. So we knew that there would be a large number of them, correct? And we also knew it would take a while to count them. So when you hear, but when you hear questions about these ballots supposedly being dropped, after Election Day, those kinds of accusations, is there any merit to that, David?
No. As you pointed out, the ballots that we're counting now might have been voted 3 or 4 weeks ago. My ballot, for instance, which I deposited in first week of November, as far as I can tell from the website, hasn't been counted yet. So there's nothing mysterious. It's just we had a huge backlog. We had 350,000 in Pennsylvania to make our way through, and they've been. And I remember saying to folks like, sit tight. It's going to be Friday morning, Friday afternoon, maybe early Saturday. So they've been actually outperforming what we anticipated at the outset.
What are some of the safeguards that are in place to make sure that everything is just so, that it's on the up and up? Because obviously we've heard complaints, particularly from the Trump campaign, that they aren't being allowed to observe carefully enough, not being allowed to get close enough. But from what you've seen about how this is progressing, what are some of those safeguards to make sure that everything is proceeding as it should? Sure.
Well, it starts with your application for a mail ballot. And if you went through that, which I did as well, it keys off your official PennDOT license, which has a signature on it. So there actually is sort of a voter ID segment built into that process to begin with. Then when you get your ballot, there's only one ballot that you receive that has a unique barcode associated with it. So there's really no ability for people to vote twice by mail. And then there is the declaration page, which you have to sign and fill in your address, name and address on the outside. There's been a lot of attention given to this naked ballot or secrecy envelope issue. That requires you to, put your ballot into one envelope, put that into another envelope, and that makes it impossible for the folks counting that to identify the ballot with the individual. It separates them. And then, once it comes to the processing and counting, the law allows for observers from official observers from each party and each campaign, and they've been at the convention center since the start. There's a lot of back and forth about that, and there was an accommodation made to moving their observation closer to the action and increasing the number of observers. So, I just ticked off about a half dozen different safeguards to the process that ultimately I think should give voters a sense of safety and security.
David, it's Tracy. We've been talking with you over the last week or so, more than that. And then just last night, the Committee of 70 put out, I call it a strongly worded statement about all the allegations of of fraud and what the president's been saying earlier today. He tweeted, Philadelphia has gotten a rotten history on election integrity. But one line that stands out to me in your statement, never before have we seen a sitting president attack the very foundation of the government and democratic process he swore under oath to defend and protect. Tell me why you put out this statement.
Well, as we said in the statement, and as you folks know, we've been at this business of watching over and safeguarding elections in Philadelphia for 116 years. So we know the territory, and we know that things don't always go well in Philadelphia for a variety of different reasons. But having been deeply involved in the preparation of this election, we're absolutely confident that we took the safeguards, the security measures, and that the city commissioners were following both the spirit and the letter of the law. So to hear that kind of challenge, not from like a Philly ward leader, but from the president of the United States, was astounding. And we felt it necessary to respond to that, because this is an area we know. I don't know about what goes on in Arizona or Georgia or Kentucky or whatever. I'm reasonably confident that they have the same level of professionalism that we do. But we know this territory, and as a Philadelphian and as an institution that takes our mission seriously, we felt.
David Thornburgh with the Committee of 70. David, thanks for always being available to help us understand better from your perspective.